Interacting with the future self. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Even though time travel is still a big question mark, people have found ways to preserve, cache, and interact with the future. You must be wondering, what is the time capsule? Goods or information when preserved in a box and buried deep, in hopes of future people stumbling across it, is known as time capsule. It is a deliberate method of communication to help the historians and archaeologists to understand something about their time, presenting time capsules that shock the world. Do not forget to smash the like button and hit the bell icon for future eye-opening updates. To the time capsule, which is believed to have started the tradition, the oldest time capsule. Samuel Adams and Paul Revere, founding fathers of America, buried the oldest time capsule known in United States. It is believed that it was buried in 1795 below the Massachusetts Statehouse. It is said that it was first discovered in 1855 when the contents were cleaned and documented and again put back. The capsule was again dug out in 2014. Conservation specialists used X-ray and revealed the presence of coins, few newspapers of the time, and a rare 1652 pine tree shieling. The shieling has a great historical significance, as it was minted as a show of defiance against the British. It was buried as a part of special ceremony of independence of America. There was also a silver plate engraved by Reverend and a copper medal depicting George Washington. It was kept on display for a period and then reserved properly and returned back to the capsule with things added back from our time and again buried below the State House. Coolest time capsules from around the world. Steve Jobs Time Capsule 1983 to 2013. One of the known and most searched for time capsules was the one buried by Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, a man who always thought ahead of time for technology. Back in 1983, when iPad was just a thought across his brain, he contributed to burying a time capsule in Colorado. In the International Design Conference, a 13-foot tall time capsule which included a 6-pack beer to an album of Moody Blues. Steve contributed the mouse from the first ever Apple computer. The capsule was dated to be dug up in 2000, but due to long shifting, nobody could find it. It was finally discovered in 2013. But sadly, Steve Jobs was not around to see that his mission for technology to grow to what it is now and his buried technology to be considered obsolete indeed came true. Jules Verne, 1905 to 2017. Another cool time capsule from an author named Jules Verne. He was famous for his novel Around the World in 80 Days. The finding of the capsule was no less than finding a treasure with maps, riddles scattered on his tombstone and all of his novels. The time capsule was buried near his tombstone in 1905 when he died and was not found until 2017. All of his life work brought together with the existence of the capsule. Finally, archaeologists studied the hints because the rumors going around about the existence of this capsule. By the time it was found, it was too late. Contents in the box were worn away and half rotten, unlike the unscathed mouse by Steve Jobs. The box included a telescope, a ring, coins from medieval time, a key to something unknown, a book about mining treaty, a manuscript regarding alchemy, and paperwork with undecipherable symbols and drawings. There is information about the phases of moon also, as if we were not enough confused about all the random things present. Are the contents a riddle for something that we are not smart enough to understand? Or it is just an elaborate prank played by him which he was planned throughout his life? Moving on to the next capsule, called The Forgotten Capsule in New York Society 1914 to 2014. The decorated bronze box sealed by a businessman on Wall Street just before World War I was left in the care of New York Historical Society. The instructions were to open it in 1974, but not until 1990 someone noticed it sitting in the storage, so they decided to wait a full century to open it. In 2014, when it was finally opened, the contents were revealed. As the box was air and watertight, the contents were in pristine condition. The box contained newspapers from the time it was sealed, medals from military figures, and a telegram from the New York State Governor of the era, hoping that all the problems would be solved in New York by the time the box was opened. Now, a capsule does not have to be just a thing, it can literally be the whole house safely locked and stored away from the world. Coming to the next capsule, the Forgotten Paris Apartment, 1942 to 2010. A beautiful apartment sat as the center of Paris for more than 70 years. A woman named Mrs. de Florian, who owned the house, fled from Paris and moved to South Florida as the Second World War broke out. She paid for the rent for more than 70 years and passed the house to her heirs when she died at the age of 91. They did not have a single clue about the house before that, and when the team turned up for inventory, they literally felt like traveling back in time. All the old furniture, paintings, perfume, clothes in the house untouched. Even when it was covered with cobwebs, it was enchanting. There was a beautiful painting of a woman in pink, signed by a famous painter, Giovanni Boldini, which sat in the house. A stash of love letters were also found, which indicated that the woman in painting was of Mrs. de Florian's grandmother and that she and the painter were romantically involved. The painting was restored and sold in an auction for $3 million. In 1957, MIT's then president James R. Killian Jr. buried a glass time capsule in celebration of the new laboratory for nuclear science. He gave clear instructions to not open the capsule until 2957, as he thought 1 or 2 centuries was definitely not enough for time capsule, presenting the glass time capsule in MIT from 1957, which was accidentally opened in 2015 and supposed to be opened in 2957. At first, it was discovered by accident carrying out constructions on the site in 2015. The officials then went looking for records of the time capsule, although the contents inside it were visible. Electronic artifact from back in those days, an experimental transistor known as cryotron. The capsule was later filled with argon gas and sealed back using blowtorch to preserve the contents for those who would find it 900 years from now. The capsule in Lion's Head, 1901 in Bolton. Some capsules are meant to have been revealed when the people who know the secret do it. Not all of them need to have a predefined time to unseal it. A capsule which was hidden in plain sight of everyone, but no one had the slightest hint about it for a century. The statue of a lion head positioned to the guard of the old state house had a time capsule installed in its head. Only when the great-great-granddaughter of Samuel Rogers decided that the time was right to share the family secret, the information of the capsule was brought to light. The capsule contained several official documents of the time, a book about foreign relations of the United States of America from 1896, copies of several newspaper logos, a badge from the political campaign of Teddy Roosevelt. Now all the above things are preserved in a new time capsule with the addition of a nail from South Church and a piece of music signed by John Silver. It is sealed and again installed back in Lion's Head for another century. Now, on to one of the most bizarre time capsules ever found, called Trick Whiskey Bottle, 1944 to 2015. Our ancestors definitely knew how to play a cruel joke on us, locals, In Lebanon, NH found an old whiskey bottle with a penny and a note inside it, where Samuel Stevens apologized in the note for not leaving any old ring behind. The note also said there were such bottles hidden all around the town. There have been none found yet, although it could have just been a drunkard's stroke. Now, moving on to the helium time column, Capsule 1968 to 1993, 2018, 2068 and 2968. The magnanimous, tripod-looking structure is filled with helium. All the legs are believed to represent a different theme of time. It has so many time frames as is it supposed to be open at different time frames. The one opened in 1993 represents human dependence on natural resources. The one to be opened after 50 years is said to represent industries and natural resources. The one which is supposed to be opened 100 years later on is for the development in science as well as human effort to save the earth. Have you ever buried a time capsule yourself? Don't you think it would be fun to leave something behind in the backyard of your house for someone years later? Signing off. Do not forget to comment down below if you discovered any mysterious boxes around the house, or which topic would you like us to cover next.